You're seeing my screen? Can you see the
Visible.
screen? Hello?
Visible now. Visible.
Okay. So what I said is you can think of that Entra ID is nothing but another Azure resource like database or app service or storage account. But here what you do, here you don't store database related all the data files or PDFs, all those. No, here you manage who are the people going to be part of this whole account that you have created as your account. When you linked your credit card or debit card, who are the people you will give access to? Number one. Then what all things that those each people can do on different resources. Number two. Then if there are many people coming over, you can create and manage those using by creating groups. But there are also different applications that, let's say tomorrow you are going to you add uh, some kind of SaaS system to your own Azure cloud. Example, you have your Azure cloud and you have some your CRM system, let's say in somewhere in another software company, you purchase some software subscription, let's say Salesforce or something. There you have your users and you want uh, the users who are registered, all the employees of your registered in Microsoft Azure Entra ID, they should be able to access the uh, what is that your Salesforce service by single sign-on. How will that be possible? Salesforce is a different company, different application. It has its own database, own users created. Microsoft Azure is a separate company, separate cloud provider. It has different set of users. So how can you make those two connections so that the user don't have to log in every time? They can easily navigate from one to another, single sign-on. That's where you can also register applications on Azure, and then in those applications, you you can ask your existing users who can have access to those or not. Then I gave an example of a Spring Boot app running inside wants to access database, wants to access storage account, wants to access maybe keyword. We cannot continue to give database credentials, keyword credentials, storage account credentials and hard code in our Spring Boot and deploy. That's not allowed. That's not a good practice. There's something called as non-personal account (NPA). If you hardcode username password, that becomes personal account. That is not allowed in any organization. It's always non-personal account. So when you will try to create a resource using a CLI, because portal access will be blocked or bicep template, they will disable the option in the database to create username password. We created a username password, like we created user credentials, user SQL we created. That option itself will be disabled. The only option you will be left with will be service principal. So you have to select that, and when you select that service principal option, then you have to create a separate service principal. You have to configure your Spring Boot to use that service principal. So it is not that easy like just using a username password in of the database in a code and deploy it. No, security is the first thing that cannot be compromised. So for that, you need to have this kind of setup. And this is where you need a developer. Here the agent cannot help. Here the Gen AI agent or Claude cannot help. For these specific things implementation, you need developer. Can a junior developer do? No. That's why you need a senior developer, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years experience. Then they know what is a Microsoft Entra ID, what is an application service principal, what are the roles assigned to the service principal, how do I generate the client secret and username. How do I renew the client secret और सर्टिफिकेट? ये सब चीज एक जूनियर को नहीं समझ में आएगा। 5 साल, 4 साल, 6 साल, 8 साल वालों को नहीं समझ में आएगा, इसलिए दे डोंट वांट टू हायर दोस पीपल। अब समझ में आया कंपनीज क्यों नहीं हायर करना चाहती हैं। और उनको बैठा के सिखाने और समझाने के लिए उनके पास उतना टाइम और पैसे है ही नहीं। उपासना, नाउ यू आर गेटिंग द पॉइंट।
Yes, sir.
So never, we should never complain about companies why they are not hiring, or will they, if they will not give us chance, how we will learn. It is not their problem. Why? Who asked us to go to a play school, then a pre-nursery, then a nursery, then a LKG, UKG, then 1 to 10th, and then 10th to 12th, 12th to BTech. Who asked us to do? The company did not ask, right? Company is asking only one thing. Today is 2026. I have this problem. Do you have that skill? If not, I don't care. I don't care all this what you have done so far. It's good for
Only
your
IT
hobby.
companies ask or all the means
Nowadays,
जितना भी.
nowadays everything is becoming autonomous and AI is getting used there. Even in the bank. In a bank now, they are planning to fire massively because things are getting automated there. In insurance, healthcare, customer care service, now they're automating everything. Voice, you will chat with a bot. Robot will call you. Robot will take your refund query. Everything. There is no human at all behind the scene. So where are these people going? They are all getting fired. They are not getting any job. So it's an across the world, across industries problem. IT is also a victim of it, but happening everywhere. Not happening now yet in the healthcare area where you need really people support, like doctors are needed, nurses are needed, otherwise patients would get panicked. But other areas it is happening, industry, manufacturing, factories, plants, IT or pharmaceuticals company, they all are using AI and automation heavily. Actually, what is AI? At the end, it is automation at its max. That is AI. So everyone would like to use automation, right, to cut cost and bring more quality. So now managed identity is again, it's a kind of service principle only. Like one Azure service wants to access another Azure service, but in service principle, you want, so we will get a username and a client secret that we have to again keep it somewhere and make sure we renew it. Otherwise, that will get expired. But in managed identities, you don't have to use that client secret. No password needed. So, for example, you can give it this one a try, but I'm showing you. You just go to your Microsoft Entra ID and here you should just follow this PDF also, right? It has more than sufficient steps to tell you what needs to do. Create new user, give any name, and then display name you can give, password will be auto generated, and then you have to go to assign properties, then I add job title, description, and the new company getting a new employee getting onboarded to a company. This is what you also do, the management team does. And they next they do assignments, and then either you can add it to a group. 99% time this happens, you get added to a group, and in that group, whatever roles are assigned, access sites are assigned, gets assigned to you. And then you have to create the user. So if I go here, I will not show it now. It's very easy. You can do that. So you can say create new user. And here you give your name. Let's say I will say John. You have to give password. It will auto generate it saying. So it's saying new password must not be weak or commonly used ones, but it's fine. Let me give anything else. So any Azure account user will you will be basically given a new when you go to a company, they will add you to this Azure environment. Only then you will be able to access cloud. And now in the next phase, I should be able to add more information. And in the next assignment area, I will add either a group. I will add you to this new user to a group. I don't have a group or add roles. And when I add role, each role has something that can be done. So let's say I will just say global reader. So it is saying that when I will log in with this user, I will not be able to create any resource. Instead, I will be only able to view things. So let's say I give this one for now. Select. So it says user successfully created. Now when this user will log in, right? He has to log in like this and he will have to add his password. But when that user will log in, he will only be able to see things. If he tries to even create one resource group, he will get exception or error. The same thing will happen when you will join your company and try to create resources because they will add you like this only. Portal.azure.com. So it will tell me to update the password. Like I am the first time employee, I am entering here. As soon as I do this, I will be okay. Now it is saying one thing. Whenever you go to the what I'm showing now is very important. When you go to your new company or when you will work as a resource, cloud resource, they will also add you like this only. And then you will get credentials, you will log in, then it will tell you download your authenticator app. When you download the authenticator app, then so you will do the setup, and after that, every time when you log into your Azure account, it will ask you to open the authenticator app and enter the 6-digit code that is generated here. Got it? So it's like this. You have to scan it for the first time you download the Microsoft as authenticator app, scan it, then you will be registered. So from next time login, you will use this one. So this is called two-factor authentication, and that's also very important. So you saw now how I've created a new user and added it to the our own subscription, this subscription. So that user when he logs in, he will view everything, but not see anything. So I will delete that user now. I'll go from here. I'll delete it. So now you know how user gets created in the company when you go for the first time and how Your roles and access rights are giving provided to you. It's not something rocket science. Somebody is doing it from the behind. So the same thing you can do now here also. Like you can basically, if you want to now create a group and assign some the properties like settings, security settings to that. What that any user who will get added to that group can do or not do. As soon as you create a user and add it to that group, the whole thing will be applicable. So here it's creating a security group. Azure AD group create display name developers, main link name developers. So there will be a, if when you run this command, it will create a new security group. Then you can add this new members to this particular developer group. And then when you create a new user, you just mention what is the user principal and other things. So this is how you create the user. We just created from the portal. And this is how you add that user who is getting created to the group. And of course, here the listing of the groups are there if there are many groups. And then I told about multi-factor authentication, which I just showed you. When John tried to log in, what happened? It asks you to download an app called Authenticator app, and there in one-time setup is needed. You do that one-time setup. After that, whenever that user tries to log in into this particular Azure account, that user will be asked. It will be that user will be asked the username password. That will have to enter. But multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication is something else. Apart from password, which you know, something that your phone knows or the phone has the code. So you will enter that code and you will be allowed to access. So is it clear so far? How to create a new user, assign roles or group to that new user?
Those are included in the service principle. Means
No,
how to assign
service
roles.
service principal is yet another kind of user, but here that is not a living and thing. It is another application who is accessing another application. सर्विस प्रिंसिपल यूजर नहीं है, वो एक टाइप का वर्चुअल यूजर है. वो खुद ही जैसे that if your let's say Azure app service wants to talk to a database and you don't want to provide username password of the database to the app service, then what is the other option? You will create a service principal and you will assign that service in the service principal. You will assign the capability that whoever takes this service principal or uses this service principal will be able to talk to the database. वो पहले से लिख दोगे. So here it is. Role based access control, RBAC, the right key for the right door. Let's say there is 10 doors at your home. So parents usually have keys for all the doors. But if some outsider comes, you will not give keys for all the doors. Maybe you will give the keys for just the living area to the people who are from distance. But let's say somebody is really close to your parents, then you can give little bit more extra keys around bedroom and those area, but not still not in the almirah or the where you keep your cash and other things. So role-based access control is like a castle with different keys. The king, who is the owner of this castle, have everything. He can create new user, add new user, remove, update, delete users, remove the access rights of some user. But there are also something called as knight. Knight is a contributor. Knight is like if there is a king, king has some special soldiers who are well trained. They are called knight. So you can create some users and give contributor access, which means these people have power more than any other soldier. But these people cannot create another knight by themselves. The king can only create. Similarly, another type messengers. Messengers can be only reader. They cannot touch anything. So RBAC, the role-based access control concepts, is based on service principle. Service principle is who gets the role. So if we create a role and say that if anyone acquires this role, will be able to access the database. Then if that role is given to a user, that user can access to the database. If it is given to a group where there are many users, all users of that group can access the database. Service principal. This is a ID created for, let's say, an application that will run inside app service or virtual machine, and that application wants to talk to another resource. Manage identity. Again, I said it's same, but here the password is not needed. Role definition. When you create a role-based access control system, you have to also mention what are the things owner can do, what are the things contributor can do, reader can do, and any custom role, what are the things they can do and not allowed to do. Like a reader is not allowed to create a new user, or even a contributor is not allowed to create a new user. Only owner can create it. Now, scope, as I said, even if you are a contributor, let's say you are able to contribute to, but then which all services are you can access? Like, can you only access the dev environment resource group and all resources inside that test environment, or you can only access the DB keyword? You're not allowed to access the log analytics. So all those things you can mention. Role assignment is a combination of three. Example, give Jane contributor access to this particular resource group. So we don't have this resource group, but let's say we had a resource group. I would create I would have created a user, and I wanted that user to only be able to access the test environment resources, all the resources in the test environment. Then I will have to give you access like this. So there are built-in some built-in roles. Admin can basically, this is the role. Yeah, this is a create, read, delete, manage access. So admin can owner can do everything, right? He can create user, new user, delete, update, and also manage other things. Contributor cannot create new resources. It can just read the data that is given to, and then the contributor can read all the data. Basically, contributor can create some things in a particular resource group. If access is given, he can create that. He can read everything, he can delete everything, but contributor cannot change the access rights or control on himself or on other contributors. Reader cannot create anything, cannot reader can only read things on the portal. Or if a resource group is created, you can see the content of it. If an app service is created, you can see the URL, other things. If a database is there, you can see the details of that. User access admin. Admin can basically do most of the thing, but you have to define custom what they can do, what they cannot do. So now here it's saying assigning a role to the portal. So now let's say we will create a new user, and then or a user or let's say application. Then how can we assign a role to that user or that application that they can do something? So we can go to the here it says let's go to the resource group and then click on IAM access control. Click on add role assignment, and then select for reader and click it. So we can basically do this. So let's quickly try once. So we have this test environment, and then here we can say access control. See, every resource has one IAM. Access control is there. Add role assignment. Let me refresh the page. Are you following or not up to here? Hello? Upasna, are you able to follow?
Yes.
So here roles are there. See, owner, contributor, reader. Now role assignment. Here
So
I
these roles are by Microsoft Azure, assigned by
yes,
Microsoft Azure.
yes, they are by default given by Microsoft Azure.
तो
So
कोई नया रोल नहीं बना सकता कंपनी के रिक्वायरमेंट के अकॉर्डिंग?
you can create new role. You can create and add different permissions to that. That's allowed. So now you see, if I had a new user here, I could and now the role is owner. I could have created new role and assigned that role to this particular user now, the new user. ये सारे काम वो कर सकता है अगर ये रोल दिया हुआ है उसको तो. So many a times people when they are joining the company they say I'm not able to access this, not able to do that, not able to. Then here the admin comes and give them more access. See, each and everything is mentioned here. What they can do and what he cannot do on this particular resource group. In whatever resource gets created in this resource group, he can do something or cannot do something. So you should try to do this hands-on. And again, there is a CLI based RBAC. Again, what it does is first create your here it's saying list all the role assignments in the resource group means on what are the different role assignments are happening on the resource group. Number one. Then you assign a reader role to a user. So assign role assignment to that particular reader user. Then what will happen is this user will be able to read everything from this particular resource group folder. Then you are assigning contributor access, contributor role to a group. Then if you are assigning contributor role, then that whoever are the members of that group, they will be able to create things now. And similarly, you can remove some assignment. You can view all the assignment available. In security, what is told is always follow principle of least privilege, and whenever the little bit more access permission is needed, only then provide it. Otherwise, always give read-only access. So now we have service principle and service connection. Very important to understand. As I said, right, a service principle is an identity for an application or service to access Azure resources instead of using personal login in the pipeline. So, like we said in the app service, we did not wanted to use the username password of the database. So we should have created a service principal, and that is service principal is nothing but a robot employee with its own ID card and specific permission what it can do or not do. So whenever our app service will try to talk to the database, this service principal will be coming into picture and it will make sure all the access rights and authentication authorization are in place for the app service to talk to the database using the service principal. But service principal are also used in the other places. When we say we will run now what we are saying is portal.azure.com, but there is also something called dev.azure.com, which is the Azure DevOps portal. We will see about that in from the next class. Here we create all the pipelines, we keep the code here, Git and other things. All these things are done here in the Azure uh,
Azure
de-
board.
port, the Azure DevOps board. You keep the code, you keep all your user stories, you keep all your test plans, you have your CI/CD pipelines, release pipelines, and from there, let's say you have a CI/CD pipeline to build and deploy something into an Azure app service or Azure, let's say, Kubernetes service. So CI/CD pipeline will be built and developed here in dashboard here, and from there it needs to put the code to another resource in portal.azure.com, and this is the problem. How Azure solved this problem? Using something called as service connection. Service connection helps in Azure DevOps, it lets the pipeline which are running in Azure DevOps, it allows that pipeline to securely connect to one or multiple resources of the Azure portal and do the different things. So here another important thing, this whenever the CI/CD pipeline is running there, that CI/CD pipeline also need access to other things, and there also you can use service principal. Again, service principal comes with the client ID and client secret or certificate. We also have role based. We have basically what we do is we assign some kind of specific roles to a user. Similarly, we assign it to a service principal. And in managed service, here in the service principal, you have to use client credentials which expires, but in managed service, you don't have to use the the created uh, credentials of the service principal. Rather, Azure will identify it automatically. So this is how you create service principal. Azure AD create a service principal for RBAC and then give the name of the service principal, what is the role, and then which are the scope or subscription. Then what happen? It will give you three, four things. One is the app ID, another is display name, password, and tenant. So this password is what you have to use next time. And of course, here you can also create a service principal scope to as only to access a specific resource group. You can say that I will want to restrict it to only this particular resource group. If you don't say, it will be on the whole subscription. This is how you list the service principals, and this is how to delete a service principal. Azure AD, SP delete ID of the service principal. So the client secret which will be shown, when so you create a service principal, it will only show the password here only once. So you have to copy this password and keep it always. Most of the time we keep it in the Azure keyword service, the credential and other things, which we'll see later. But here the client secret will be only shown once, so you have to copy it. The client secret is shown only once when created, copy and save it immediately. Okay. So service principle complete. Service principle very important. They will ask interview questions. Many, 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 many. Similarly, service connection. What is service connection? Service connection is again I said it from dev.azure.com. If something wants to connect to portal.azure.com, then service connection is a mechanism where you don't need to use the credentials or anything. Just go ahead and use it. And your application, when you will run your pipeline in Azure DevOps mode, it will deploy the rightful application into the right service in portal. All the authentication authorization is automatically going to be handled. So I will show you in the next class. When we will create the, let's say, the account in Azure at the Azure DevOps board. There I will show you how to create a service connection so that it securely connects to portal. Then we have few more things in Azure security. There are secret and other things that Azure itself does. Azure automatically triggers some kind of scan. It will always check if your any service is in under threat, or it will continue to do that check. And those things, when it does, it gives us as an advisor, Azure Security Advisor. So it's basically in the background doing a lot of things for you from security perspectives. Like here is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. There's also another service from Azure. So here it is saying it gives you a score, recommendation, what needs to be fixed, compliance. If you're if you are doing everything as per the requirements of this particular organizations. Then comes keyword. Like we have database to store data. We have a storage account to store files, PDF, or videos, everything. Similarly, we have something called Azure Keyword Service. Here we store all the credentials, all the keys, all the password, all the certificate, everything. And while using the code connects to this and downloads it. So here is the all the commands like you can create AZ create keyword, it will create a new keyword. So source group is there, location is also there. And then in the keyword, if you want to store a secret, you can of course from the UI you can do that now. But when the UI is not there, you can store it here like this into the keyword. Then you have to read the keyword also to get the secret. And you can also check what are the different secrets available. And if you want, you can assign some kind of policy who can see your keyword, who cannot see. And there are other best tips that you can follow here. So I think this class is over. This we will go to monitoring in the next class. But are there any questions or doubts so far? If not, then what I would say is today I did not use any CLI. I showed you from the portal how to do that, but I want you to use the portal also to create the resource, service connection, service principal, assign eh, permissions, access control, everything, and then delete it. And do that using both portal and also the Azure CLI, which you have downloaded and installed in the computer. Is it fine? Any questions, doubts? No?
Can you explain
No.
managed group once more?
Managed identity.
Yeah, managed identity.
So in service principal, you create uh, a role for an application to access another resource. There you have to use another credential it will give you to use. But in managed identity, you create a managed identity, assign it, it will access the another resource, but there you don't have to use any credentials.